crying, crying over you. What's up, guys? This is Matt Ramsey with the Octave Higher East Voice Studio and OctaveHigherEast.com. And thank you so much for taking a moment to watch this video on breathing. I kind of wanted to take a moment today to talk about what I think is the most overcomplicated subject, bar none, in all of singing. It's right up there with singing into the mask and placing it forward. It's really all about breathing and how overcomplicated people have made breathing. And it's really very simple. Most people are pretty good breathers. You know, you've made it to 20, 25, 30 years old and you've been breathing this entire time. Congratulations, you are a champion breather. You know, there's probably nothing wrong with that. And when we think about breathing with singing, we think, oh man, this is like this totally other thing. It's really not. And actually, if you think about it too much, it's really easy to overdo breathing exercises, which may actually, you know, add some more tension or more strain to the voice if done incorrectly, and that causes more problems than it really does solutions. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about kind of some breathing exercises, the basics of breathing. Then we'll get into a demonstration of the exercise that I want to show you, and finally we'll show you the exercise. So I should have little tabs on the side of the screen that will kind of be showing you the different ways that you can do that, and you can click on them if you want to skip and if you've seen this before. So first of all, breathing 101. Breath is the fuel of singing, right? And we have to understand it because, you know, if we are, cars as singers, you know, part of a well-functioning car is the fuel. Equally important is the motor and the rest of the parts of the car as well. But without the fuel, you get no power. Now, the benefits of learning how to breathe well for singing are numerous. You know, you're going to sing with more power. You're going to sing with longer sustains, like I was doing with crying. That's a sustain. You're going to improve your bridging, your ability to sing through your passaggio. You know, probably a little early for that E flat or whatever that was. And mostly important is it's going to improve your confidence too. You know, it's really easy to take a little shallow breaths and all of a sudden you're feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, what have I gotten myself into? You're kind of hypoventilating yourself because you're not really getting the best possible oxygen that you can. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this. So there's no amount of breath support that is going to help you sing better if the vocal cords, the mechanism or the motor, in the case of the car analogy, is not working correctly. In other words, if I'm singing like this, that is not going to help me sing a longer sustain. It's not going to give me any more power. So number one, we have to make sure that those cords are functioning properly. That's beyond the scope of this particular video. I will absolutely do one really soon that's going to address that immediately. Now, the other thing is that oftentimes where we take our breath can be just as important as the quality of breath. So rather than getting so worried about, gosh, I just have to take the longest or the deepest possible breath that I can, and then I'm going to make it through whatever phrase that I need to. Sometimes it's really important to just take a really well-placed, quick or short breath, just as it would be to take a really long breath. The one thing that, I agree with pretty much everyone who's done a breathing video ever with is that we want to find a diaphragmatic breath. Diaphragmatic breath, your breath is going to come from the abdomen. In truth, all breath has to come from the abdomen. The diaphragm is the muscle involved in singing, but here's the easiest way. Now, it's easiest to kind of find this by looking in a mirror first, but you want to make sure that your posture is nice and tall, right? So we're going to try by singing breathing through the nose first, because this can be easier. And then we're going to work on breathing in through the mouth later. So number one, you want to keep that posture tall. Let's keep that posture tall. You're going to shift your shoulders up, back, and down. And I'll do that from the side also. So shoulders up, back, and down. And you'll find that your hips are going to naturally kind of be over your feet if you're keeping a wide stance. You're gonna feel that your shoulders are even over your hips, and your head is just balanced evenly over your shoulders. Now, if you do that, you're going to notice that this chest is naturally lifted, and I want you to try to pull your tummy in just slightly. And you'll notice that if you do this as you breathe in, that breath will naturally actually come from the bottom of the stomach. Your stomach is actually going to expand. I'll try that from the side too. So nice tall posture, and you'll probably see that my stomach has expanded. Now, when you exhale, that stomach should come in. I'll do that again. Now, it can be really, really tricky to kind of find this breath at first, but that's why practicing in the mirror is such a great option. Now, you can notice that if you got your mirror and you place your hands on your stomach, you're going to notice that if you've got your posture correctly, your breath is going to come in through that stomach and it's going to expand. And when you exhale, it's going to come in. At no point, you shouldn't feel like your shoulders are or anything like that. It should be all really, really located down here. And by pulling the tummy in and keeping that chest naturally lifted, you're gonna find that. If you feel the stomach coming in when you're inhaling, that's a sign that you're not taking the most efficient breath that you possibly can. You're actually going to be adding some more tension to the whole system this way. So look out for this. If it feels like you're Mr. Six-Pack abs when you're pulling in that breath, that's not leaving any room for the diaphragmatic breath. Now, the same is true like we talked about, like if you feel that your shoulders are moving, like, again, that puts a lot of tension on kind of the bottom part of your lumbar or the bottom part of your back. You're not making the stomach move with this. You're just directing your breath away from the shoulders or away from the heaving chest. It's all right down here. And this is actually going to help you find like the most efficient, deepest breath you possibly can. Probably way more than you'll ever need. Let's try it. So you're going to do that same thing. I'm going to turn to the side here, and I want you to just breathe in. You're going to keep that posture nice and tall, shoulders up, back, and down, chest comfortably lifted, tummy tucked slightly in, and you're just going to try that. Sometimes you could call this like the pregnant breath because it looks like you're pregnant when you inhale that far. And this is actually way more breath than you're going to need. And we're only going to use just a small portion of that as we do our exercise today. But step number one is absolutely finding that diaphragmatic breath. Don't worry about the intercostal muscles. Don't worry about clavicular breathing. Just worry about getting that low part of your belly moving. And it may feel really, really kind of tense at first, like you're like, oh Matt, I cannot possibly do anything other than try to isolate it. Keep that chest tall, that's going to relax the shoulders, keep that tummy pulled in, and it's actually going to help you find that lower belly breath. One other thing that I'd like to point out before we jump into the exercise is we want to make sure that this breath is silent. When you're singing, you want to make sure that you're not actually phonating or making a sound when you're breathing in, like, or anything like that. That's actually the vocal cords coming together and actually vibrating as you're breathing in. It's that Darth Vader sound. So what we're actually looking for is a really silent, just a quick breath in. We're looking for a really easy, quick, silent, deep breath. And actually, the more that you're able to avoid the Darth Vader sound, the more efficient that breath is going to be because you're not resisting the vocal cords. So the way that I like to kind of like teach my students to do this is you can try kind of like a quick scared breath, like. So that's the whole idea, is that you're pretending like you're really, really scared, like, but you're not going to make a sound, right? It's right there. So without that, you're probably hearing just like the tiniest bit of wind in there, like, and that's fine. We're just not looking for. So when we're going to move into the exercise, make sure that that is the case. Now, let's go ahead and move into the exercise. So the two things that you're going to need in order to accomplish this exercise, you're going to need a mirror and you're going to need a metronome. The mirror is optional, but I highly recommend it, especially if you're having a little bit of trouble going for the low diaphragmatic breath. So let's get started. So here's our metronome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for a count, we're going to suspend for a count, and then we're going to exhale for a count. So these are the famous Farinelli breathing exercises. So of course you want to practice your diaphragmatic breath first, but this is how you can actually start to increase your breath control as you're training your singing voice. And this is something that you can come back and do every day. It's something you can do when you're sick, because when you're sick, you're not supposed to really be singing all that much, and you can always be working on your breath control as you do it. So the Farinelli breath and breathing exercises, breathing in, you're going to feel like a quick or a slow, rather, inhale as you breathe in. We're going to try this through our nose. Then you're going to suspend, or you're going to sustain that breath. Now, you're going to sustain that breath by feeling like you could either continue inhaling or exhaling. So in other words, you're not holding the breath like a bodybuilder or anything like that. And then we're going to exhale. Now we're going to do this through the nose, and the whole idea of the Farinelli breathing exercises is your ability to control the breath and the muscles that control that breath. So this is not a game of like, look how deep I can breathe or look how long I can hold my breath. It's really about just controlling that inhale as much as you can. So the way that this exercise is going to work is we're going to hold in for a count, we're going to inhale for a count, suspend for a count, and then exhale for a count. And Guy Babasek showed me this fantastic exercise. A lot of credit to him, fantastic teacher. And he recommends that you start at like 3 and then work your way up to 20. Why don't we go ahead and today, just for today's purposes, we'll start at like 3 and then we'll go to 10. So it would be like this. We're going to inhale slowly through our nose for 3 counts, hold or suspend for 3 counts, and then exhale for 3 counts. So set your metronomes for 60 beats, and we're going to inhale for 3, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3. Suspend, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Now for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Suspend, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job, everyone. So you can slowly exhale on that last one. Now you may notice a couple of different things about that. You may notice that the temptation as we're going up in counts is to take all that breath on the front. I know, I said it through the nose, right? So, and just hold on to as much breath as you possibly can. The whole idea of this exercise is that you're taking that same amount of breath, but you're just spacing it over a longer period of time. So rather than, that's a 5 count, now I could do that same thing on a 10 count. And the idea is that I just took it a smaller quantity of air on each count rather than 5. Man, I'm feeling good. I hope that you guys are too. Now the whole idea here, like we talked about, this feeling of suspension in the middle where you're actually holding that breath that you just took in, that is actually the sensation of you singing. That's exactly what should, crying, what that should actually feel like is rather than crying like an exhale or which would be an inhale, but rather on the suspension. So crying. So I'm actually kind of suspending or kind of damming that breath with my vocal cords, just like I was doing with the exercise. So rather than, and I'm really pressing down and bearing down on that breath, I'm actually just lightly suspending it. I could continue singing or I could stop, and it's really all good. Now the beautiful thing about this is that you don't feel bad, by the way, if you couldn't make it to 10, a little bit every day is the ticket, and you should never do it for any longer than makes you feel uncomfortable. It should just feel just the slightest bit of discomfort and then stop. Absolutely stop at that point. And then you'll build it up the next day and the next day and the next day. And it's just like going for a run or cardio training or anything like that. It's actually going to, help you feel better. It's going to help you sing better. It's going to keep your all of the support muscles that are supporting you during your singing in better tone. And you're just going to notice that you've got all of this amazing capacity to hit whatever note that you want. And even if you do, oh my gosh, I misplaced a breath. Well, now you're able to use that. And of course, that is assuming that the vocal cords are coming together and doing their job when you're singing rather than crying. And I'm out of breath already. Crying. So I had, 5-6 seconds of a sustain that I only took 1 second of breath for. And that's what we're looking for. I hope that this helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy singing.